What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Connor. I can't say my full channel name because the guy who's my guest will be demonetized if I say it. But my guest today, if you didn't read the title or are completely unaware of football YouTubers, he is the leading expert in all things green and yellow, all things cheeseheads. He is the creator, the editor, the director, the writer, and the lead actor of his soon-to-be Emmy-nominated series, the AFC NFC Saga. And Coach, please welcome to the show the legend that is Tom Mother-loving Grossi.
That's it. At least it's not Grossi. At least we didn't. At least
Yeah, no, I didn't.
You should have just done that whole long intro and be like, "Here's Tom Grossi."
Tom Grossi. And of course, my first ever, I think, solo stream was the same game, that Browns-Ravens game, where the guy mispronounced your entire thing, and now you are French.
And now the Grossi is running wild. The Grossi is strong with us all.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Tom. It really means a lot that you're here. For those who don't know, I am a moderator for Tom's channel.
That's true.
I think I've been following you since mid-2020, I believe, and you made me a moderator actually my birthday of 2021 because that was on a Friday, so it was on a Friday night Q&A. And so yeah, that was
the rest is history.
I know. The rest is history. I didn't even realize that you had made me a moderator. I was like so confused. I was like, why is it saying I can delete these comments?
Why is this blue?
Why is this blue? Why can't I delete these comments? But anyway, Tom, so thanks for being on the show.
Of course.
And,
thanks for having me.
So obviously, Packers, Ravens, two teams that are kind of going in opposite directions right now. Yeah, they're like ships going in the night.
Passing in the night.
From each other.
That's it.
You mentioned on your show during your preview that this was a game you had circled. And unfortunately, this game has kind of lost its luster. Now, apparently, Lamar is still possibly could play. He's still day-to-day, but the assumption is he's not going to play.
Yeah.
But what's your biggest takeaway for the Packers going into this game right now?
I think there's a couple things that stand out. It's one that Huntley himself is still like a very viable option, as the Packers have a history of struggling with scrambling QBs. And you saw this with Taylor Heineke earlier this season. Saw it with Justin Fields last week for a bit. That, they get outside the pocket and they can scramble, which Huntley can do. That could be problematic. Throw on top of that your defense absolutely loves to blitz. And considering how battered and bruised our O-line is right now, David Bakhtiari and Jair Alexander are both practicing, but who knows if they're going to be activated and actually be playing on Sunday's game. So I think it's just going to be a matter of, I think it's going to be a very pass-driven day for the Green Bay Packers, considering how you guys are number one run defense right now. Your special teams, I'm just hoping we take notes on your special teams on how to actually play it. I think it
not let the ball bounce off the face mask.
Oh,
who was that? Who did that happen to? Was that the
Amari Rodgers?
Yeah. No, I know, but that was happened 2 weeks ago.
That was Cobb.
Yeah.
It hit Cobb. Yeah, I know. The special teams woes are real. But I think it's just going to be a matter of, getting off to a fast start, which we have not done this season. And I know the Ravens haven't done that in multiple games as well. So I think it's going to be a matter of like, hey, can the Packers build a lead, maintain that lead? Because if we're not able to rely on an A.J. Dillon or an Aaron Jones because your run defense is so good, it's just going to be about trying to put as many points on the board as possible.
Yeah, I fully expect this game to be 10 total points in the first quarter, probably.
If that.
Yeah. I think the Ravens, are last in the league in first quarter points. They've scored 30. They have not scored a touchdown in their first opening drive or in the first quarter in at least 6 or 7 games.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Huntley, and I kind of see him almost as and this is his second year, but I see him as a rookie Lamar.
Sure.
Where he can throw a lot better than Lamar could his rookie year, but he still is prone to some overthrows. He's missed Marquise Hollywood Brown in the games I've seen him play at least 3 times for wide open touchdowns. He just overthrows him by a good step. So it will be interesting, but obviously you guys get to go. Obviously the run defense for the Ravens is good, but you guys get to go against a Ravens secondary that literally is missing.
Yeah.
It's now it's 2 starting corners in Humphreys and Peters, and now it's 2 starting safeties because Chuck Clark is out with COVID.
Not ideal.
No. No, absolutely not ideal. So our starting free safety is a rookie safety who was converted from running back in college and has only been playing defense for 2 years now. So it's not very ideal.
So you're saying Devontae Adams might have himself a day, is what you're telling me?
Yeah, but at the same time, this kind of I've seen this before where the Ravens are depleted, but then some of the defense does really well in a game that makes absolutely no sense.
Sure.
And of course, with the NFL this year, it absolutely does not make sense.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, like some games will be crazy, other times they'll be boring, and then of course you said the AFC North is just who knows.
Your division, honestly, like I'm done trying to predict it. I mean, the Ravens obviously are still in first place, but I imagine that's going down to week 18 and who can stay alive the longest, whether it's the Ravens who have all the injuries or the Browns who have their entire team on COVID. Like, buddy, I got no idea. I got no idea anymore.
The Ravens literally have lost a game, and by losing that game, if another team had won their game that week, they would have been in first place, and they didn't win, and the Ravens stayed in first place. That's happened twice now already.
Sounds all right.
I fully expect that to somehow happen again if we lose this game.
100%.
But so you were talking about injuries and stuff. You mentioned it during GPS, obviously. Check out GPS, obviously, if you guys haven't watched it. Obviously, the Grossi Perna show. And you mentioned Kenny Clark is not going to play. Yes. He's the only person I think for COVID, right?
Right this second, yeah. Now, technically, I think he still could play. I think there's still like an outside chance because of the new NFL protocols. But yeah, it looks like Kenny Clark is not going to be there. So like TJ Slayton is going to be getting like a lot of reps, the rookie from Florida that we brought in. So, I mean, I'm hoping that he can step in. I mean, it's not great if you guys decide to utilize the run game. But, you know, Kenny Clark is such a force back there. And like now it's a matter of, hey, at least like, Kenny Clark should be good for the rest of the season now. Like that's the mentality at this point. Same thing with Rodgers. You know, these guys who get COVID and thankfully recover that now, like, you know, they're not going to be susceptible to it. So yeah, right this second, I don't think we have anyone else on COVID protocol. We're actually the only team in the NFC North that's not on, that's not all virtual right now. So considering there's outbreaks in every single other team.
Yeah. And you mentioned Rodgers, and I remember reading somewhere that his pinky toe is still bothering him slightly. So
yeah.
You worried about that?
Yeah, so it's broken. So it's fractured. So he
is dealing with it or how that happen?
Say again?
Do you know how it happened?
No, he's been very mum about how it happened. So like he's gone on Pat McAfee show and like made jokes about like stubbing it and stuff. But like because originally people said it was COVID toe. That's when he showed his feet on the conference. So yeah, no, it's a fractured toe. And he said this past Sunday it really bothered him. But he said also that he will not do anything like surgery that would make him miss time. So basically Aaron Rodgers is just not practicing anymore. But so what you've seen in his performances is him not practicing. Is like, so he's just that good at this point. And he's such a vet. It's his 17th year. Like he doesn't even need it anymore. You know, I'm just glad that he's in the building. So I'm not really overly concerned about it because it's just about pain management at this point.
Yeah. And when you said it's like his 17th year, I completely forget that he pretty much didn't play those first 3 years.
Yeah.
Because I always kind of think that 2008 was really his rookie year. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, you guys are coming back. I kind of had to gloat because I feel like you guys are going to probably whoop our butts anyway when we get to the predictions. But Packers suffered the worst Monday night loss ever in Baltimore, 2005. Favre and Rodgers played in that game. It was 48-3. Ravens win. So I doubt that will happen again. It might go the other way based on how the Ravens' pass defense is, because I fully expect that to happen. But I mean, is there really any other injury concerns? You mentioned Jair and you know Bakhtiari is he back?
They're in practice right now, but I mean Bakhtiari has been doing limited practice. Jair started practicing a limited capacity last week. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't start them. And kind of I think it's gonna be kind of like, hey, rest him up. Bakhtiari wasn't even supposed to practice the other day. Like LaFleur said he wasn't going to, but then he went out and practiced. So, you know, he wants to play. Bakhtiari really, really wants to play. But I think it's a matter of how decimated our offensive line is, but they're still able to perform. They're going to hold on to those guys until they know they are 100%. Because, you know, we have the playoffs to start thinking about. And, you know, with 4 games left in the season, you know, the last thing that you want is getting so close to having one of those all pros back in the lineup and then suffering an injury that takes him out for the playoffs.
Yeah, and obviously you mentioned the playoffs. You guys are the 1 seed, correct? Right now,
Number one.
1 seed. The Ravens were the 1 seed 2 weeks ago. How quickly time changes in the
That's
NFL,
it.
unfortunately. I think the Ravens are still now the 3 seed, leading the AFC. Of course, the AFC beyond just the AFC North, no one has any idea.
It's insane.
But you mentioned the playoffs, obviously, and then of course after that will be the offseason. What's taking away all of the injury concerns and everything? What have you seen that you want the Packers to most focus on the offseason, whether through the draft or through free agency, to address?
I mean, we're going to have a huge wide receiver problem because there's only 2 wide receivers that are contracted right now after this season. And that's Randall Cobb, who we're probably not going to pay and let him go. And then on top of that, it's Amari Rodgers, MVS, Alan Lazard, Devontae Adams. They're all free agents after this year. So we're going to have to address wide receiver. In addition, we don't know if Josh Myers is going to work out, but you can never have too many guys on that offensive line. But I mean, the big thing is we're probably going to be missing some pass rushers. I don't know if Zadarius Smith is going to stay on this team, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get an outside linebacker. And then just someone along the defensive line. I think like that's what it's going to come down to. But I would not be surprised if the Packers swing on a receiver early, especially if it's Jordan Love back there and we don't re-sign Devontae, because like they're going to need, a big time number 1 guy. And while MVS, is proven to be good, same thing Alan Lazard, I don't think either of those guys are number 1 right now. And I don't think they're going to command that kind of money. So I think it's now about, hey, like, let's go out and get a guy to replace Devontae if he's, in fact, not going to be here next year.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like for the wide receivers, it's Devontae 1, and really Lazard and MVS don't even feel like true 2s. They feel more like 3s.
I mean, honestly, you could look at our number 2 receiver being Aaron Jones. I mean, like Aaron Jones is just so dynamic in the passing game.
I had him in fantasy last year, and he kicked butt for me. So
he's great. So I think that, you look at it, and we have tight ends to throw to, obviously Tunyon not being there, but like, it just seems that like Devontae's always the focal point, and then there's somebody else to like, have a big game or like a medium-sized game whenever that's going to happen. I mean, Randall Cobb, obviously, he's recovering from core muscle surgery, so he's going to be out for a bit. And yeah, it's just there's so much spreading around of the ball, and it just seems like it's a balanced offense, but Devontae is what kind of like really encapsulate what the number 1 wide receiver is, and that's why he gets as many targets as he does.
Yeah, and that kind of feels like what it is with the Ravens, with Andrews being the number 1 for the tight end, and then Hollywood Brown being kind of the number 2, and then everyone else kind of getting whenever they could. Especially when Lamar is in there, he focuses in on Andrews and Brown a lot. That's kind of caused some frustration. We here at the Ravens fandom got really worried when our first round pick Rashad Bateman deleted all of his Ravens stuff on Instagram, and then he changed agents, and we're like, oh dear God, no, fire Greg Roman immediately. Yeah. But then he bounces back with like a 100+ yard game last week versus the Browns. But so obviously this game, give me an X factor that's not Aaron Rodgers on both offense and defense that you think the Packers really need to really win the game.
Yeah, I think on defense, it's going to be about just like containing Huntley in the pocket, and not letting him extend the play and get outside. I mean, so Devondre Campbell's going to have himself a time, who's been excellent for us at inside linebacker. Without Kenny Clark, that D line, it's going to have to try and get pressure on him as well, to, at least force him into a mistake or what have you, or get rid of the ball early. And I think it's also just limiting the run game. So I think you're looking at Devondre Campbell and or TJ Slayton to potentially have themselves a big game. And then on offense, what you're looking for, I mean, obviously all the attention is going to be on Devontae Adams, but it's going to be trying to see who has the hot hand against a very good run defense. Is it going to be the Aaron Jones or is it going to be AJ Dillon? Both of them are on track. Like they're having a great season right now. Aaron Jones is a bit banged up. AJ Dillon has been carrying the ball more as the RB1. But I'm thinking, LaFleur is going to try to establish the run. And I think it's whatever running back is just happening to have a great day that day. That's who you stick with to kind of just create some balance there.
Yeah, almost feels like you have what the Patriots or with Bill Belichick used to do, where one running back will be the guy that gets the ball the entire game. The other guy just doesn't get anything. And then
we have that luxury now that both of them are capable of being a number 1 running back, and they have different skills. And I think like we're very fortunate in that to have them both on the offense, and it just makes them dangerous when they're both healthy.
I remember when the Ravens had that luxury.
Yeah, I remember when you guys had running backs.
I remember where we had an entire starting team.
Yeah, I remember that. It was
we
so
literally-
long ago, back in August.
I know. I literally I was at work and I literally got the notification that Dobbins was gone. And then the very 2 days later, Dobbins, and I'm just like, oh dear God, or Edwards.
Edwards.
And
Yeah,
I got Edwards in one of my leagues too.
so did I. Yep, I drafted him really early because I was like, oh yeah, I think he was like my second pick.
Oh yeah, he was going like hot. I think I saw someone was like, oh, I'm taking him first round pick. I think, and I was like, oh no,
that didn't work out.
So, no, obviously fantasy hasn't been doing very well, unfortunately, at least for me.
No.
But you're in so many leagues that
I'm in the playoffs in like 2.
That's all you can hope for at this point.
Exactly.
So yeah, the Ravens, they're banged up. There's not much that I can say that I hope the Ravens that I can say that makes me feel good about the Ravens prospects, unless the Packers just somehow really have a somehow bad day or true ref ball comes into play. But knowing the NFL, that's probably going to happen somehow.
Is possible, yeah.
Yeah, you're very well aware of the ref ball affecting the Packers.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think at this point, I'm still expecting this to be a relatively close game because you don't play the Ravens very often. They have a good defense, at least a good front seven in which they're able to stop the run. And while the secondary is banged up, like a good pass rush makes the secondary better. So I think that it could be an interesting game with a scrambling QB. Obviously, it's not the same, as if Lamar Jackson was going to be there. But yeah, I still anticipate it being close as both teams struggle out of the gate. We might have a first half that's really, really close and then see who can pull away in the second.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'll be very, like I said, I don't think there's going to be much scoring in the first quarter. And I know you're going to be streaming the game. I'll be streaming the game, and we're both going to be sitting there just bored out of our minds. Just be like, come on, teams, do something. Do something. I'll take a turnover by either team at this point, just to spice things up at that point.
There you go.
And obviously we're talking about the Ravens, Packers, but the entire NFL just seems like right now the NFL is screwed with all the teams that are affected.
I'm just happy we could play this weekend. I mean, the amount of COVID that's going on right now is absolutely decimating teams right now. I mean, you're looking at the Rams who have 25 guys on their roster. Like, that's insane. Sean Payton, the head coach of the Saints, just got announced that he has COVID. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's bad.
I'm waiting for the Titans Steelers game to be moved to Wednesday afternoon.
Of course.
From last week.
Of course.
Oh my God. I still remember watching that game, and it was just like the stupidest thing I'd ever seen.
It was horrible.
Didn't you stream that game?
I think I did, yeah. And it was a terrible game. I think I did the Tuesday and Wednesday games.
Oh my God.
I want to do every game of the week, and I was like, I just need a Friday football game and we're done.
I'm amazed that they haven't done like a Friday football game yet in the NFL.
I mean, yeah, the Browns-Raiders game that's supposedly happening tomorrow. I don't know how you play that game tomorrow, but sorry, Browns. I mean, I know you're not going to, be too upset about it, but.
Oh no, I wish this had happened last week.
Yeah,
put it that way, because that's the juxtaposition of the Ravens defense. We made Baker Mayfield look really good in the first half, and then they couldn't actually do anything in the second half.
Correct.
But we had made just enough of mistakes in the first half that we couldn't come back.
Sure.
So I was just like, oh, that's a great encapsulation of the Ravens season thus far.
Yeah.
What's your predictions for really just going to the playoffs? Do you think the Packers will be the 1 seed?
My biggest concern right now is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I am praying that the Saints are able to beat them on Sunday because the Buccaneers have a walk in the park of the schedule left. We have you guys with the Browns on Christmas, then we have the Vikings at home, then we have the Lions. So it's kind of a mixed bag, but you have 3 playoff contending teams in there. So, I think that it could go either way. I think the Packers can run the table. I really think that they can and win these last 4 games. But at the same time, I think you really kind of have to look around the league a little bit and just be like, man, I really hope the Cardinals drop a game because they have 2 tough games coming out. They have the Colts and the Cowboys left. But the Buccaneers, if the Saints are able to beat them, that would be very, very helpful because their last 3 games are the Panthers twice, and I think it's the Jets. It's
the Bucs, yeah,
it's a walk in the park.
And so the Cardinals are there too, but I'm guessing they have to play everyone in the NFC West.
They have the Cowboys and the Colts left as 2 tough games, so that's no walk in the park for them. So those will be 2 tough games. And then, the Rams, I'm not really concerned about. So yeah, it's coming down to those two teams. That is the main competition for the Packers. So the Packers have it right in front of them. Like all they need to do is win these next 4 games and then they're 1 seed. And I think that given our injuries and given how good we've been at home this year, I think it just like puts us over the top if we're able to get that. So I'm really hoping they are able to hold on to it.
Yeah. And yeah, you kind of mentioned the Rams, and that made me think of it seems like buying in or going all in doesn't seem to work very well in the NFL. At least for one single season, it doesn't.
Unless you're the Buccaneers.
Yeah,
but,
yes.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. There's been dream teams before, right? But they have to function as a team. You could have individual superstars. You put them together, they're not necessarily going to gel. So I think you bring up a great point that sometimes it works, but just because you throw a lot of money at people in free agency or make like these big splash trades, I mean, you look at what's happened with Green Bay. Like Rasul Douglas was off the Cardinals practice squad. He's had 2 pick sixes and a game-winning interception. You look at Devondre Campbell, $2 million are paying him. He's one of the best inside linebackers in football. So, sometimes the splashiest move isn't necessarily the best one.
Yeah. And looking at the playoffs for the Ravens, I honestly could see the Ravens. So they have the Packers, then they play at the Bengals, and they have the Rams and Steelers at home.
It's a tough schedule.
I could legit see the Ravens lose that and go 8-9 and miss the playoffs after suffering a 6-game losing streak to end the season. Legit, with how banged up the team is, unfortunately. Sure. That would be. I'm sure that would cause some heads to spin in Baltimore. I mean, the Ravens are not a team that is going to overreact and fire Harbaugh if that was to happen. But I feel like there would be a lot of other changes elsewhere, unfortunately. And yeah. I think I asked you during one of your streams, is like, do you think the Ravens should just sit Lamar and just lose out? And you were like, don't do that. Just try and win out as best you can.
Yeah, because there's no guarantee it works, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's the problem. Like this is the issue with tanking. I mean, look at the Jaguars. I mean, like they got Trevor Lawrence. That's great. That's all well and good. You don't know if he's had spurts. He threw 4 interceptions last week. It's not necessarily like, hey, like this whole, tank and, we'll get a better draft pick. And then what happens when you miss out on that draft pick? Like what happens when that guy's not good? Then you just made your fans pissed off even more. So, I mean, I've always been of the mindset, try to get to the dance, and you guys are still in a position to try and get into the playoffs. And then you never know what happens. I mean, the Bucks won it from the 5 seed. We've run it from the 6 seed. So
Ravens' first Super Bowl was the even though they were 12-4, they were a wild card too.
Yep.
I think they were the first team actually to win from the wild card spot since that was relatively new back in 2000. Yeah. Because they shared a division with the Titans. That's weird.
Yeah. So you never know. I mean, like again, you get Lamar back and he gets a little bit more healthy. Never know.
Yeah. So I guess we can just wrap it up. What's your final prediction, and what do you think is going to be the biggest key? Obviously, I already asked you, X factor. What do you think is going to be the biggest key for Packers and Ravens? And what's your final prediction?
Yeah, I think again, it's our offensive line being able to hold up against the blitz. I mean, looking at it, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 28-17 game, something like that. I think the Packers should win this game. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they wind up struggling and they're not really able to get it going until the second half. Because that's kind of been like the story of the Packers, though they got it going in the second quarter a little bit more. And then, of course, not having our special teams absolutely blow the game. That would also be helpful.
Yeah, I feel like that's the one good thing. Whenever Justin Tucker's going out there, I know I can just...
You're like, we're good. I can already put the 3 on the board.
Yeah, I don't get worried at all. So, yeah, hopefully you guys don't have a mistake. So you said 28-17. I think I could see it maybe being 31, maybe 24, maybe. I think hopefully it can be I don't think it's going to be a true shootout, though. I feel like it'll be like something where it's like you guys are like 31-17, and the Ravens get like a late touchdown to make it look closer than it actually is, unfortunately. Sure. I just think with Hundley, if he starts, this would only be his second career start. First one was against the Bears, and he looked good against the Browns, but he still needs to slow down with how quickly he gets rid of the ball, because he really is like still in that one read and then take off kind of mentality,
Sure.
unfortunately. But the Ravens are too banged up, I think, at this point. But anything can happen. But we have no idea. I think I'd still pick the Ravens in my pick in your pick and league just because I felt like it. Where are you in that?
Buddy, I don't even know where I am anymore. Like it's just I'm so far down. I think I'm like 1,500.
Oh, I forgot to pick the Chiefs Chargers game last night.
Yeah, it's done that to me too, so it happens.
Oh no, I just completed. It's not even I didn't pick it. I just completely forgot to do it.
Fair enough.
So, I think I'm like just above 1,000, somewhere around there. So slightly ahead of you, but nowhere close to winning, unfortunately. But that will really be it. And thanks so much, Tom. It means the world to me that you came out and did this for me. And obviously, it'll be a lot of fun watching this game. And I hope you guys do well. And I hope you enjoy your Christmas Santa hat that I got you. You can enjoy that next Saturday.
For the Browns game, baby. On Christmas Day.
Can you believe Christmas is a week from tomorrow?
No.
No, it doesn't actually feel like that.
I'll be working all day, so we'll be
right. Oh no, I'm gonna be working too. I have a job. I'm gonna be up at like 4 o'clock in the morning working.
There you go.
At the radio station. So, but that's gonna do it here from me. That is Tom Mother Loving Grossi, or freaking fracking Grossi, obviously. I am Connor Dory, and thanks for watching, guys.